What's up guys? My name is Clinton Norris and today we're going to be talking about a concave layer. So when we think about a concave layer, we need to think about those two different words, concave and layering. Layering is something that we know about pretty much from either school or from being behind the chair. And a lot of people just coming in to the salon or to a school understand what layering is. It's the most popular haircut in America. So to give it a little bit of a definition, layering is removing weight in a haircut. So if someone has a great amount of hair and they're looking to lighten their hair up, potentially have volume that lasts a little bit longer, a different style, we would potentially choose to layer their hair. Now, in layering, there's two major forms of layering. One is convex and one is concave. Convex is a word in the dictionary, and it's a line or a curve that's similar to the top of a circle. So if I were to take a section and elevate the hair from the doll, I would want to create a cutting line and an elevation that matches the bone structure, and that would yield or give us a longer layer. So if we do a convex layer, we're typically making that internal length long and connecting it to the external length. Now if someone wants a concave layer, that's the second form of layering that we're going to talk about and that I did today. And a concave layering is, again, that word concave is a word in the dictionary, and it means a line or a curve that's similar to the bottom of a circle. Meaning, if we were to increase our elevation and cut a cutting line from short on the inside and longer towards the outside, it would actually take away more weight. It's an increased removal of weight from a convex layer. So a concave layer is what I would call a shorter layer. So if I wanted to remove more weight from the interior and leave all of the length, that would tell me that I would want to do a concave layer. So today I did a concave layer on this beautiful doll here. And on one side I made a pretty short concave layer. You can actually see from the silhouette that it's pretty lean and narrow. So the higher I lift it and the sharper or steeper my finger angle is, it's gonna remove more weight and make it leaner and make it skinnier for someone who potentially has more hair. Now, there's another version of a concave layer. It's just not as high of elevation and my cutting line was a little bit more neutral. So it's short on the inside, longer towards the outside, but we got to choose the length on the inside and we got to choose the length on the outside. So I cut these two different ways. I'm gonna walk you through step by step how I achieved both concave layerings, but to look slightly different. I hope you enjoy it. So here I've taken a center division line from the front hairline to the crown. Now at the frontal bone, I'm going to take a quite large section to right on top of the ear. This allows me two different things. One, it allows me to have the same amount of hair from the top to bottom and incorporate the length into my first section. So I'm going to take this and lift it up 90 degrees from the frontal bone. And it's going to go straight up to the ceiling, and I'm going to be cutting from short on the interior and long towards the length. So it's going to keep all of the outline, but make the inside a little bit shorter than the outside. Now section number 2 is also going to be a vertical diagonal back section, and we want to make this longer towards the back. So what we're going to do is over direct the hair forward to the front hairline. So section number 2 is going to over direct on top of section 1. Now, when I comb this down, we should be able to see a little bit of shortness in the front and some length towards the back. Now this is the stationary guide, meaning all the sections are going to travel all the way to number 1, meaning it's going to get a lot longer towards the back. So with my vertical diagonal back section here, I'm combing and controlling everything from the base all the way to the front hairline. It's a lot of hair to control, so I want to be really consistent and extra careful with my sections. Now through the back, these are going to be pie sections, meaning narrower towards the top and wider towards the bottom. So that's going to allow me to stay vertical in an area that's really curvy with the bone structure. Now this is too much hair for me to hold, so I'm going to make a division line where the round of the head happens. Another division line here so I can control little bits of bite-sized pieces of hair. That way I'm really controlled. There's no way that I could maintain a lot of tension and a lot of control if I were just to sweep all of that into one long section. So as I work towards the back, I'm gonna break these up horizontally here. Front hairline, I'm gonna add that in as a stationary guide. Same thing through the back. This bottom bit really doesn't reach, but I'm gonna add in anything that can. So that is my first example of a concave layer. So it's shorter in the front hairline, it's getting longer towards the back because of all of that over direction. It's also shorter on the inside and longer towards the outside and getting longer towards the back at the same time. Next section, I'm gonna make a division line here over top of the ear. And now this is going to be a little bit shorter of a concave layer. Still concave because it's shorter on the inside and longer towards the external links of the outline. Still going to be a concave layer. I'm gonna lift these horizontal sections straight up to the ceiling, and I'm gonna make a really flat cutting line from the apex to the front hairline. So this is gonna be what we would call square here to the front. This affords me a little bit more length towards the front so it doesn't get too short, but still over the crown, I'm able to make the layer shorter. So there's a little bit more bounce, a little bit more life, and I can remove a little bit more weight at the crown area. So flat all the way through the front hairline. These horizontal sections, again, are gonna come straight up to a stationary guide. So all these sections, I'm elevating them up all the way to 1. You see a lot of that elevation happening here. Section 3 goes all the way to 1, 4 goes all the way to 1, and the rest of the length will travel up to that stationary guide as well. Now this extra bits of over direction allows it to get longer towards the external length, like you see here in my cross check. So longer on the outside, it's shorter towards the interior. So this length travels so far away from where it naturally lives, we're going to be able to preserve a lot of that length. Now I would choose to do this from front to back if I really wanted to control the length from the crown to the front hairline. That was the most important to me. So here's that last cross check that I have here, and that's going to be a stationary guide for these vertical sections through the back. So they're going to over direct all the way to on top of the ear. That way I can maintain a lot of the density and length through the back. So it's a very similar layer to the first side. It's just a little bit shorter on the interior and removing more weight, and what we'll do is we'll see the impact that that has. Once we blow dry and style it, you'll be able to see the extra amount of removal that we have on side number 2 here. So both concave layers, meaning that they're shorter on the interior and longer towards the length. This one is just an increased removal of weight than side number 1. And I had a priority of making sure I had a shorter layer at the crown and a longer layer towards just that front hairline to preserve a little density. So still round, square in the front, and then vertical sections that were over directed slightly forward. So once we blow dry and style it, comb it all out, we'll be able to see the weight that we removed. So as you see on both sides, one is a lot leaner than the other. Side number 2 is leaner than side number 1. Both concave layers, still a removal of weight. Side number 1 had a longer concave layer, removed a lot of weight, and then side number 2, a lot shorter of a layer that removes way more weight. Both concave layer, but 2 ways to do it, and you get a little visual there of where the weight's removed and what's kept.